The world is buzzing with AI tools, but instead of making things easier, they've made things overwhelming. There's a better way. Meet Superhuman, the AI productivity suite that gives you superpowers so you can outsmart the work chaos. With Grammarly, Mail, and Coda working together, you get proactive help across your workflow, no matter how you work. Experience AI that meets you right where you are. Unleash your superhuman potential today. Learn more at superhuman.com/podcast. That's superhuman.com/podcast.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Welcome to the Black Tax. There's an African proverb that says, "Show me your friends and I will show you your character." When I was in law school, I was not liked. I've talked about this before, but I was fair. I could see both sides of the argument. I could understand people's perspectives about certain cases and why they thought that this case was ruled wrong or why they thought that case was ruled right. We were always in these kind of battles with things that were happening around us, be it Rodney King, another cop killing another black person somewhere in the United States. There was a flurry of ups and downs, movements, Supreme Court cases. There was a lot of things, and it aided our experience in learning the law to become whatever we decide to do with our education. During this course of time of me being in law school, I was approached by the administration to be the defense counsel for the honor court. And it was something that was decided by the faculty with one or two students' input, but somehow my name was thrown into the hat and I was the one that they approved of. Now, this announcement was made and there was some disgruntled students who thought that I couldn't be fair because I was so pro-black, and never understanding that because I'm pro-black doesn't mean I'm anti-white. Right is right, fair is fair, and I'm always going to see it that way. Just because I don't agree with your opinion doesn't mean your opinion is wrong. It just means I need more facts to understand your opinion. So 2 semesters go by, there are no incidents, everything is great, everything is moving forward, no big deal. And then 3 students get caught cheating. Now, 2 of the students were not fond of me at all. They, in fact, had been bold enough to say, nobody here really likes you. Maybe you should think about going somewhere else. And I never understand why people think peer pressure is a thing, especially with someone like me, when I don't believe peer pressure is a thing. You make your own choices, you make your own decisions, regardless of the situation that you may walk in. It is a falsity that you tell yourself, well, I was pressured into do this. Nope, man up, stay on your own 2 feet. Nope, this is what it is. And I know that's easier said than done. And I know that sometimes I won't buckle to peer pressure, but I will allow it to help me make a judgment into something that I know is wrong. So the professor brought the charges to the administration. The administration then brought me in to see the charges, and then there was a hearing of sorts. I took statements from everybody. I looked at the evidence. I tried to be objective in this situation. But there was also a 3rd student, a woman, white, who had my back when my dad died. We were in a trial class and I was distraught, the death of my father, and she carried the bulk of the weight. She gave me a few things to do, but she did everything else. And we got an A in the class. So I was thankful to her for that. I know her character. I know how she sees things. We have had long conversations about right and wrong, policy, race issues, gender issues. And this is somebody who was working a full-time job, going to law school, living at home with her parents who were elderly at the time, and doing everything she needed to do to make a better life for herself. So her cheating was not a part of who she was. But because these three individuals were in a study group, what appeared to look like they were cheating really wasn't cheating. They were answers that they had already known what the potential questions are going to be. These questions popped up on the exam. They memorized what the terms and the questions were. And the two gentlemen, and I use the word gentleman loosely, they wrote the answers out verbatim. And that's where the hint of cheating starts. Her answers were similar, but they were stylized in a way that was very her, not the group. So we go into this Maki-ish trial, and I'm watching the professor present its evidence alongside its counsel, and how probability of this not happening, the probability of that not happening. Two people who are in diametrically different spaces in the room can't have the same answers without some level of cheating. Now, this is very much early in the day, so this is not text messaging. There's no phones. This is blue books, pens. So there's no way to communicate back and forth between the two. So it's my turn to get up and ask a bunch of questions, and I'm asking questions about likelihoods and exams, and are your questions on your exams the same questions you ask every year with every student who sits in your class? And the professor says, well, yes, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I then asked, do you think students have accessibility to exams from the past? And he was like, I'm not sure about that. Why would that even be possible? Because students find ways to know what the professor is, how the professor thinks, how they write their questions many times before they even go into the class. So they're prepared to know how to answer things and get through the questions. That raised eyebrows when he said, yes, I use the same questions. I may alter them here and there, but basically they're the same question. The three-panel faculty judges looked at each other, and when they looked at each other, I knew then I had won. So the decision comes back, and it's kind of a split decision. We think there might have been some improprieties, but there isn't enough evidence to support it. So these three students have not violated the honor code, but we're going to be mindful moving forward of how they take their exams, which I thought was a little odd, but needless to say, I won. So they were very flippant and like, oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay. But she was filled with tears and gratitude and amazed at what I had done. And when it was over, she wanted to take me to dinner. And I was like, that's not necessary. She says, no, I really want to thank you. I said, no, let's just grab lunch. We'll do lunch tomorrow and we can talk. She's like, fine. So we go to lunch the next day and she says, you know they were cheating, right? And I said, I know. I knew when I read the answers that they were cheating, but I also knew they couldn't prove they were cheating. And that was my job, to disprove they were cheating. So she says, why would you defend them if you knew they were cheating? Because you're a decent human being. You saved my ass. And I know you would never. That's not your character. And she was like, wow, I never would have thought. And I said, when my dad died, you were there. You made sure I was going to maintain my GPA, my scholarship. You made sure that I was going to be okay. You carried those buckets of water in my time of grief. So turnabout is fair play. And then I said, I'm going to leave you with a bit of advice. They're not your friends. They're your competition. And competition when they don't get their way, drags everybody else down with it. She smiled and she said, I know that. That's why we're no longer study partners. People will always try to drag other people down when they get caught in their shit. I've had many incidences where individuals have blatantly lied on me because I'm not in the immediate circle. So it's easy to point the finger at me when so many people don't like me. I have a saying that I've been saying since college. Shine, glow, glisten. I shine, they glow, and everyone behind them glistens. And that theory changes. Some days you'll shine and the person behind you will glow and the person behind them will glisten. It is not carved in stone. It is meant to be fluid. It is meant to change as the environment changes. But in those changes, you've got to be mindful of the people who are around you. You've got to be mindful of the company you keep as you climb the corporate ladders. And that's including your colleagues at work, your friends out of work, because not everybody has the best interest for you. You have to be mindful of how you pick and choose who those individuals are going to be in your life. Because it could all happen with someone, but somebody can make it all tumble down because they can't get their way. And this is not an easy thing. This is life. And as you get older, your discernment about those things become keen and they become more and more involved. Mine happened very early. I didn't have a choice. I grew up fast. I'm a firstborn of a Jamaican son who's a firstborn of a firstborn. So the responsibility of a firstborn is laid heavy at my feet. Don't like it, but it is what makes me who I am today. So I want you to think about the people around you in your work environment. Do they support you or do they suck you dry? Do they defend your honor or do they throw gasoline on the problem, causing you to be the victim in the situation? Never let the influence of other people define who you are. That is for you to do. You define you. Peer pressure can be a motherfucker. I particularly don't believe in it. But it is a real thing for some people. Character is more important sometimes than friendships. Character dictates who you are to people who don't know you. It becomes a calling card for you before you even open your mouth or speak. And sometimes people don't know your character. They know the portrayal of your character. Sometimes they will listen based on their experience with you. And sometimes people hold on to those characteristics just because so many people are repeating it. Make sure when you choose the people in your life to support you, they pour into you, not suck you dry. Not everybody can be a friend. Stay woke. We out.